At the 10,000 Places blog, there is a blog post that's kind of going viral right now, and it's called Bake for Them Too. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you've read this, maybe you've seen people linking to this. It's already got like almost 400 comments, and sounds like, according to the author, there's about 400 comments waiting in moderation. So, or no, 600 comments. So almost 1,000 comments on this blog post. Bake for Them Too. Now let me give you a quick summary of it, and then I want to respond and give you some things to think about. She references Matthew chapter 5, right? And she's dealing with kind of this the same-sex marriage controversy and a baker refusing to bake a cake for a same-sex wedding ceremony. References Matthew 5 and says one of the Roman laws stated that any man could be required to drop what he was doing and carry a Roman soldier's equipment for him up to a mile. In the Sermon on the Mount, with his followers gathered around him, Jesus referenced that law and told his followers what they should do in that case. Quoting Matthew 5:41, "If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles." And then this is what she kind of says about this and relates it to the issue of same-sex marriage. She says, if you believe gay marriage is immoral, and then in parentheses she says, I don't myself, and a gay couple comes into your shop and asks you to bake a cake for their wedding, what should you do? If God causes the sun to rise and the rain to fall on the wedding day of straight and gay couples, then what's our responsibility? She says this, Christians, our Jesus said, go with them too. And here's kind of the conclusion. If someone forces you to bake a cake for a gay wedding, bake for them too, right? So this is kind of her argument. And I think this can be rhetorically very powerful. I think Christians, a lot of Christians see this, and they're taken by it. In fact, you read the comments, and Christians are praising this article. All right, sounds like the loving, tolerant thing to do. But let's respond. And I want to first respond by asking a question. And here would be the question. It would be a clarification question. And I want to change Jesus' example here. And I want to say, look, is Jesus saying that if a man forces you to steal another man's cloak, that you should steal for him too? Or let's give a modern day example. If a man asks you to make one pornographic movie, should you make 2? There's actually a really great comment here challenging this. This guy says Jesus was a carpenter. If somebody hired Jesus to carve an idol, should he carve for them too? Right now, in each one of those questions, I'm going to wait for the answer. What's the answer to that? And if the author here says no, I'm going to ask, well, why not? Isn't that just taking your application here and just applying the scripture the way you've applied it? And I would guess she would say, well, no, you shouldn't make 2 pornographic movies. Well, why not? Well, because it's immoral. It's wrong. Exactly. That's the key issue here. See, the example that Jesus gives is of carrying a Roman soldier's equipment for him for up to a mile. That's amoral. It's not wrong to carry a soldier's equipment in and of itself. But with same-sex marriage ceremony, our view is that this is immoral. This is wrong. And so therefore it shouldn't be celebrated. And so let's take some other cake baking examples. Because she does say, this is what she says, Christians should be the first people baking cakes for everyone who asks. For everyone who asks? So what if a brother and sister want you to bake a cake for their wedding, an incestuous wedding? What if you had a group of people, 2 men, 5 women, and they wanted to do a group marriage? Should you bake 2 cakes for that group marriage? What if it was a what if it was a white supremacist who wanted you to put anti-black comments on a cake for some ceremony? Or what if it was a Christian who went into a baker who was gay and asked them to write anti-gay comments on a cake, doing a celebration? My question would be, does the author here think that those people should be forced to do those things as well? I don't think so. I'm guessing she's going to say, well, no. Why not? Well, the key here is that, and this is where she does admit, she doesn't think that gay marriage is immoral. But if we do think it's immoral, if it is immoral, then we have good reason not to bake that cake. And Jesus' teaching here does not apply to this situation. And then lastly, she says this. She says, Christians, when we dig our heels in and insist on our right to discriminate, we are hurting people. We are hurting so many people so deeply. Well, that's certainly not the intent to hurt people. But I want to say, look, if you celebrate something that God has clearly communicated is sin, then you are actually the one who is hurting people by encouraging their sinful behavior. And so that's the key question here. Is this sinful behavior? And in that case, if it is, then Jesus' teaching doesn't apply. And you can demonstrate that, no, we are, as Christians, not required by Jesus to bake 2 cakes for a same-sex marriage. So those are a few things to think about as you hear a rhetorically powerful piece like this. How would you respond? I think this is a good way to respond to show that this does not obligate us to participate in same-sex marriages.